Welcome to Cheater Confessions. Let's get started with today's story. It started with a conversation I didn't see coming. It was a Friday night, and for once I was home early. I had a bottle of Cabernet breathing on the counter, steaks marinating in the fridge, Amanda's favorite playlist humming through the speakers. It was supposed to be our night, our 10th anniversary. 10 years. A full decade since I proposed to her in the freezing rain, both of us laughing like idiots, thinking love would be enough to weather anything. I heard the door click open. Amanda walked in, hair perfect, heels clicking lightly on the floor, smelling faintly of a man's cologne that wasn't mine. She dropped her bag by the door and gave me a quick, almost guilty smile. "Hey, babe," she said, setting her keys down carefully. She hesitated, biting her lip. "Listen, I think we need some space. No greeting, no build-up, just that." I didn't move at first. Just stood there with my hand still on the corkscrew. The wine smelled expensive, heavy. The music kept playing like it didn't realize the ground had just cracked open underneath me. Amanda and I had been married long enough to know when something was dying, even if you didn't want to see it. The distance had been creeping in for months. The late meetings, the vague answers, the way her laughter felt like it was reserved for someone else these days. I set the corkscrew down carefully, like it might bite. Then, I tossed the steak straight into the trash and pulled the plug on the music. Amanda just stood there for a moment, awkward, waiting for me to say something. When I didn't, she slid off her heels, checked her reflection in the hallway mirror, and quietly headed upstairs, humming under her breath. That was the moment I knew. Whatever she wanted space for, she wasn't planning to use it to fix us. I poured myself a glass of the Cabernet anyway, sat down at the table set for two and stared across the empty chair. I drank slowly, letting the bitterness settle in, heavier with every sip. No anger, no scene, just a quiet understanding that something had already ended long before tonight. Whatever was coming next, I wasn't going to beg. The next morning, Amanda was up early, suitcase half-packed on the bed. I leaned in the doorway, coffee in hand, watching her shove clothes into it like she was running from a crime scene. "I think I'm going to stay with Emily for a few days," she said without looking at me. Her voice was light, rehearsed. "Just need some time to clear my head." Emily? Her old college friend who lived 3 cities away? I knew for a fact Emily had moved to Seattle 6 months ago. I nodded anyway. "Take all the time you need." Amanda froze for a second like she expected me to argue. When I didn't, she zipped the suitcase shut and gave me a quick fake smile. "I'll call you," she said. "Sure," I answered, setting my coffee down. "Drive safe." After the front door closed behind her, I stood there a minute longer, letting the silence settle in. Then I walked over to my desk and pulled out the old laptop she never remembered was linked to her phone through our shared cloud account. I hadn't checked it in years, but today felt different. It didn't take long. Photos started loading. Amanda in a sleek black dress. Amanda laughing across a dinner table. A man's hand, not mine, resting casually on the small of her back in a mirror selfie she thought she cropped smartly. I clicked on the details. Taken 2 nights ago, a steakhouse downtown. The same night she claimed she stayed late prepping for a presentation. I leaned back in my chair staring at the screen. It wasn't just a bad feeling anymore. It wasn't paranoia. It was proof. The kind of proof you can't unsee. The kind that doesn't come with second chances or awkward apologies. The phone buzzed on the table. A new message from Amanda. "Thinking about you." I didn't answer. I just closed the laptop softly, like I was tucking in the corpse of something that had died months ago. I didn't know exactly who the guy was yet, but I was about to find out. I needed answers. Real ones. I picked up my phone and called John. He'd been my best friend since college. Solid, steady, worked as a detective downtown. When he picked up, I didn't bother with small talk. "John, I need a favor." There was a pause. "What kind of favor?" "Find out who Amanda's seeing." Another pause, longer this time. John knew me well enough to hear what I wasn't saying. "All right," he said. "Send me whatever you've got. I'll be in touch." I forwarded him the cropped photos, the timestamps, the restaurant location. Then I waited, pacing the living room, pretending the hours weren't dragging razors across my patience. It was late afternoon when John called back. "Jack," he said. His voice was different, tight, careful. "You sitting down?" I sat. "It's Christopher." At first, the name didn't register. "Christopher who?" "Christopher, from college. The guy you used to coach that rec basketball team with. Married to Lindsay. You went to their baby shower last year, remember?" I remembered. My stomach turned slowly like a car wreck in slow motion. Christopher. The same guy who'd crashed on my couch after his bachelor party. The guy who bought me a bottle of whiskey when Amanda and I hit our 5th anniversary. "Unbelievable," I muttered. "Jack, I'm sorry, man. I really am." "How long?" John hesitated. "From what I can tell, a few months. At least. They're not being careful." I pinched the bridge of my nose, trying to stop the white-hot anger from flaring. "Thanks, John." And then I hung up. I wasn't going to lose my head. I wasn't going to chase Amanda down or demand answers. No. I was going to end this cleanly. And when I was done, Amanda wasn't going to have a home to come back to. Amanda came back Sunday night like nothing had happened. She dropped her bag by the stairs, kicked off her shoes, and stretched like she just got back from a spa. "Hey, babe," she said, smiling. "I missed you." I stood at the kitchen counter flipping through the mail. I smiled back, just enough. "Good to have you home." She walked over, kissed my cheek lightly, and started rambling about how space made her realize how much she valued what we had. I nodded. I listened. I didn't believe a word. When she went upstairs to unpack, I opened my laptop and shot a message to Taylor, a lawyer a buddy of mine had used when his marriage exploded last year. No details. Just, "Need to talk, discreetly." Taylor replied 5 minutes later. "Tomorrow 9 a.m. My office." Done. That night, Amanda curled up next to me on the couch, flipping through TV channels like we hadn't completely fallen apart. She rested her head on my shoulder, scrolling through her phone when she thought I wasn't looking. Probably texting Christopher. I didn't react. I kept my arm around her lightly, like everything was fine. Inside, I was already gone. The next morning, I met Taylor in his office. No small talk. No fake sympathy. I handed him the folder, screenshots, photos, time-stamped charges, and watched him go through it, page by page. When he was done, he gave a small nod and got to work. By the time I left his office, everything was set. The accounts would be frozen. The house was already mine, and the divorce process was officially started. No drama, no warnings. Exactly how I wanted it. I walked out of there feeling lighter than I had in months. Amanda had played her hand. Now it was my turn. By Tuesday, everything was in motion. I opened a new bank account under just my name and transferred my paychecks over. I froze the joint credit cards. I rerouted all the bills. Amanda wouldn't notice right away. She never looked at statements. But when she did, it would be too late. That night, she came home with takeout and a big smile like she was the wife of the year. "I thought we could have a movie night," she said, holding up a bag from our favorite Chinese spot. I played along, smiled, took the food, ate it sitting across from her at the kitchen island like I hadn't seen the photos of her wrapped around Christopher in the bar parking lot. Halfway through the movie, Amanda started talking about us, how she felt rejuvenated, how every marriage has rough patches, how she was willing to work on things. She even reached for my hand and said, "I love you, Jack. I really do." I squeezed her fingers gently. "I love you too." Not a lie. I loved the woman I thought she was, the woman she pretended to be. On Wednesday, Taylor called. "Everything's filed. Papers are ready. When do you want her served?" "Tomorrow morning," I said. "At home." We planned it for 8 a.m., right as Amanda was leaving for work, before she could even pull out of the driveway. Clean. Quick. That night, as Amanda curled into me in bed, whispering about maybe taking a trip together, maybe seeing a counselor, I just nodded. "Whatever you need," I said softly. She smiled against my chest and drifted off to sleep. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, feeling the steady beat of my heart slow and even. No rage, no sadness. Just the weightless, solid feeling of being done. Tomorrow, Amanda was going to find out that the man she thought she was playing had been 3 moves ahead the whole time. Thursday morning came sharp and cold. Amanda was in the kitchen pouring coffee, scrolling her phone lazily. She was humming some song under her breath, still wearing my hoodie, still pretending everything was fine. I sat at the counter, watching her, feeling nothing but a clean kind of detachment. Right on schedule, the doorbell rang. Amanda frowned. "Who the hell?" "Probably a delivery," I said, sipping my coffee. She padded barefoot to the door and opened it. The man on the porch in a crisp jacket held out a thick envelope. "Amanda Rivers?" he asked. "Yes." He handed her the envelope. "This is for you," he said quietly. Then he turned and walked away without another word. Amanda stood frozen for a second, staring at the papers like they might explode in her hands. She closed the door slowly, turned around, and looked at me like she didn't recognize me. "Jack," she said, voice cracking. "What is this?" I stood up calmly. "Divorce papers." She blinked hard. No, this isn't." She flipped through the pages, saw the list of evidence attached. Photos, credit card records, dates, times. She paled. "We can talk about this," she stammered. "We can fix it." I shook my head. "There's nothing to fix, Amanda. You made your choice." Tears filled her eyes. "It didn't mean anything, I swear." I raised an eyebrow. "Christopher's wife might feel differently." Her face crumpled. "How did you—" "I know everything, Amanda." She started pacing, panic rising like a tide. You're overreacting. We can go to counseling." "Please, Jack, don't do this." I picked up my coffee again, calm. "You wanted space. I'm giving it to you." Her eyes darted to the window like she was planning an escape. I stood up and looked at her evenly. "Pack your things," I said. "You're leaving today." She sank down onto the couch like her legs gave out. Silent, shaking. I left her there, sitting under the weight of everything she threw away. I didn't yell. I didn't gloat. I just finished my coffee, set the cup down, and walked away. Some breaks are temporary. Some are permanent. Amanda didn't say much after that. She spent the afternoon packing, moving through the house like a ghost. I didn't offer to help. I didn't ask where she was going. It wasn't my concern anymore. She came downstairs around 5, dragging 2 suitcases behind her, face blotchy from crying, eyes red and puffy. At the door, she turned back. Her voice cracked like dry wood. "Jack, please, we can fix this. I made a mistake." I looked at her, really looked at her, and I didn't see my wife anymore. I saw a stranger who gambled everything on a lie and lost. "There's nothing left to fix," I said. Tears streamed down her face. She twisted the wedding ring on her finger, then yanked it off and dropped it on the table with a clink. "I hope you're happy," she whispered. I didn't answer. Amanda pulled the door open and stumbled outside, dragging her suitcases down the steps. She shoved her bags into the back seat of her car and sat there for a few minutes, head bowed, hands gripping the steering wheel. Then she drove away without looking back. I stood in the living room for a long time, taking in the silence. It didn't feel lonely. It felt clean. It felt earned. Weeks passed. No dramatic texts, no screaming voicemails, just silence. Amanda moved into a small furnished apartment across town. I didn't ask where, didn't care. John mentioned once he saw her at a gas station, sitting in her car alone, staring at nothing. I nodded but didn't say anything. Some things didn't need words. The house felt different now, lighter. I started clearing out everything that reminded me of her. The fake designer vases, the uncomfortable modern chairs she insisted we buy. One Saturday I drove out to the lake. No plan, just me, the open road, and a coffee in a cheap ceramic mug. The sky was that early spring kind of blue that made everything feel sharp and new again. I sat on the dock for hours, not thinking about her, not thinking about Christopher, not thinking about anything except how still the water was. Before I moved on for good, I sent the photos and proof to Christopher's wife. Last I heard, she divorced him too. A few days later, I got a text from Amanda. Just 3 words. "Do you hate me?" I stared at it for a long minute. Then I deleted it without replying. No anger, no satisfaction, just nothing. I didn't hate her. I didn't love her either. She was just another person who made her choices. And I made mine. When people asked what happened with Amanda, I never told them about Christopher, about the affair, about the hotel receipts and the fake smiles. I just shrugged and said, she wanted space. I gave it to her. And honestly, it was the best gift I ever gave. Thank you for watching.